Question number 1. Substance M is a solid at 30 degrees centigrade. The substance is heated to 80 degrees centigrade and its temperature measured as it cools down to room temperature. The cooling curve of this is shown. Between which times is substance M freezing? Okay, so at 30 degrees centigrade, this substance is solid. So its freezing point should be above this temperature, because at this temperature it is already in a solid state. And one more thing, when a substance changes its physical state, the temperature remains constant. So above 30 degrees centigrade, the stage where we can see the temperature is constant is between Q and R. So you can say this is the time when this substance is melting if you heat this, or opposite to this, because we are like cooling this. So this is the time when this substance is freezing. So look at the options here. Correct response is B. If you talk about this phase P to Q, here the substance should be in liquid state and its temperature is decreasing. On the other hand, R to S, the substance is solid, and S to T, it is adjusting its temperature to the room temperature. That's why you see a constant temperature in this range too. Question number 2. Which gas has the fastest rate of diffusion? Option A is argon, and the AR value for argon is 40. Then C2H6, it's ethane gas, and the MR for ethane is 30. For HCl, the value of MR is 36.5, and for hydrogen sulfide it is 34. Now among these gases, ethane has smallest MR value, so it would have the fastest rate of diffusion, as rate of diffusion is inversely related to MR of gases. Question number 3. There are two stable isotopes of bromine. The mass number of isotope 1 is 79. The mass number of isotope 2 is 81. Which statement is correct? Option A, isotopes have same number of neutrons. No, isotopes have different number of neutrons, and due to this they have different mass number. Option B, isotopes have different chemical properties. No, isotopes have same chemical properties. Chemical properties depends on the number of outer shell electrons. Option C, the isotopes have different number of protons. No, isotopes are atoms of same element, so they have same number of protons. Last option, the isotopes have same number of outer electrons. Yes, as these have same number of protons as well as same number of outer electrons. So that is correct response. Question 4. Which statement about ions and ionic bonds is correct? Option A, bromine atoms form negatively charged bromide ions. Yes, bromine atoms have 7 electrons in their outer shell. They gain 1 electron to form the bromide ions with negative charge. That is correct option. Look at option B. Ionic bonds form between elements in group 7 of the periodic table. All elements in group number 7 are non-metals, and the bonding between non-metallic elements is covalent, not ionic. Option C, positive ions are formed when atoms lose protons. No, positive ions are formed when atoms lose electrons. And option D, potassium iodide contains negatively charged potassium ions. No, potassium ions are positively charged. Question number 5, part of the periodic table is shown. Which type of chemical bonding is present in oxide of F and in oxide of J? This element F here is a metal, oxygen is non-metal. So metal to non-metal bond is ionic, so oxide of F should be ionic. And this element G, it is present in group number 6 of the periodic table, and it is below oxygen. You can say this element is sulfur, that is a non-metal, and oxygen is also non-metal. So when it forms compound with oxygen, it would be covalent, as non-metallic elements form covalent bonds with each other. C option is correct here. Question number 6. Element X and Y react to form a compound. Element X loses 2 electrons and element Y gains 1 electron. Okay, if X is losing 2 electrons, it should be having 2 positive charge, and element Y is gaining electrons, so it has minus charge. And to write the formula, you have to swap the charges, so formula will be XY2. So right option here is charge on X is 2 positive, charge on Y is minus, and formula of compound is XY2. Option B is correct here. Question number 7. Which statement about graphite explains why it is used as an electrode? So being used as an electrode mean it can conduct electricity. Option A, it contains ions. No, there are no ions present in graphite. Option B, it has giant covalent structure. Graphite has giant covalent structure, but giant covalent structure is not the reason that it conducts electricity. It is a metal. No, graphite is carbon, carbon is non-metal. And last option is correct. Actually, each carbon atom in structure of graphite is linked to 3 other carbon atoms, and one of the valence or outer electron of carbon is free to move. So graphite is conductor due to mobile electrons. Question 8. Methane burns in air to form carbon dioxide and water. What is the balanced equation for this reaction? Let's write this reaction separately. Methane reacts with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water. Now balance this equation. The moles of carbon dioxide are equal to number of carbon atoms present in hydrocarbon. So here we have 1 carbon atom, so moles of carbon dioxide will be 1. Moles of water equals moles of water are half of the number of hydrogen atoms that are present in hydrocarbon. So here in methane there are 4 hydrogen atoms. Multiply this by 2, and in the end balance oxygen atoms. If you look at right side of this equation, we have 2 plus 2, 4 oxygen atoms. So you can multiply this O2 by 2 to get 4 oxygen atoms on left side. So this is the balanced equation for burning of methane. Now you can find among these options which is correct. So here option B is correct. Question number 9. The equation for thermal decomposition of sodium hydrogen carbonate is shown. Here is equation. The MR of sodium hydrogen carbonate is 84, okay, and MR of sodium carbonate is 106. In an experiment, 2.1 gram of sodium hydrogen carbonate is heated, but not all of it decomposes. All of carbon dioxide is collected and measured at room temperature and pressure. The total volume of carbon dioxide produced is 0.21 decimeter cube, right? The volume of 1 mole of gas at room temperature and pressure is 24 decimeter cube. Which statement is correct? We have 4 options. 2 of these options are related to mass of sodium carbonate produced, and 2 of the options are related to percentage yield of carbon dioxide. So we have to calculate both mass of sodium carbonate produced and percentage yield of carbon dioxide produced. To calculate the mass of sodium carbonate produced, we can compare the volume of carbon dioxide produced with mass of sodium carbonate by using the balanced equation. Okay, so if you compare sodium carbonate with carbon dioxide, mole ratio is 1 to 1. We will be constructing mass to volume ratio instead of mole to mole ratio because we are interested in getting the mass of sodium carbonate. Okay, so 1 mole sodium carbonate has mass 106 and 1 mole carbon dioxide has volume 24 decimeter cube. Now if 0.21 decimeter cube of carbon dioxide is evolved, we want to know what mass of sodium carbonate is produced along with this. Cross multiply this and solve it for x. You will get answer 0.93 gram. So this is mass of sodium carbonate produced in this reaction. If you look at option A, it is right, and option B is wrong because the mass produced is 0.93 gram, not 1.33 gram. Let's calculate percentage yield of carbon dioxide here. Now to calculate the percentage yield, start with the mass of sodium hydrogen carbonate that is heated and calculate the theoretical yield of carbon dioxide in terms of its volume. So how can we do this? Simply compare sodium hydrogen carbonate with carbon dioxide using balanced equation. So the mole ratio for sodium hydrogen carbonate to carbon dioxide is 2:1. The mass of 2 moles of sodium hydrogen carbonate is 84 cross 2, that equals 168. Now 168 gram should be producing 24 decimeter cube of carbon dioxide. 2.1 gram will produce x decimeter cube of carbon dioxide. Cross multiply this, solve for x, you will get 0.3 decimeter cube. This is ideal case if 100% of the sodium hydrogen carbonate is decomposed. But we are provided with actual yield. Actual volume of carbon dioxide that was produced is 0.21 and not 0.3. So calculate the percentage yield by dividing this actual yield upon theoretical yield and multiply it by 100. The answer is 70%. If you look at option C or D, the percentage yield is either 10% or 35%. That is not correct. It should be 70%. So among the given options, option A is correct. An electrolysis experiment is done using carbon electrodes. Hydrogen and oxygen are formed at electrodes. What is the electrolyte? So there are 4 electrolytes. You have to determine what products are produced in each case, and then you will come to know in which of the electrolytes hydrogen and oxygen are formed at electrodes. So let's start with option A. We have aqueous copper 2 sulfate. When this is electrolyzed, we get copper at one end and oxygen at other end. So that cannot be the right option. I hope you know about the electrolysis of copper 2 sulfate. Option B, concentrated hydrochloric acid. When it is electrolyzed, we get hydrogen at cathode and chlorine gas at anode. This is also incorrect because we want hydrogen and oxygen at electrodes. And in case of dilute aqueous sodium chloride, we get hydrogen at cathode. Because this is dilute solution, so we will be getting oxygen gas at anode. If it were concentrated, then like chlorine gas should be produced. So this is the right option. And finally, if you talk about molten potassium oxide, the products are potassium at cathode and oxygen gas at anode or positive electrode. Question number 11. Concentrated aqueous copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. Which ionic half equation describes the reaction taking place at cathode? Cathode is the negative electrode and positive ions are attracted towards it. In case of aqueous copper 2 sulfate, we have two kinds of positive ions, copper ions and hydrogen ion. And when these are competed, the copper ions get reduced because copper is below hydrogen in reactivity series. So it is reduced by gaining 2 electrons, and after gaining 2 electrons it gets converted into copper metal. So you can find this reaction in option D, that is correct. Question 12. When powdered sodium carbonate and ethanoic acid are mixed, the temperature of the mixture falls. Which statement about this reaction is correct? Actually, it happens in endothermic reaction, because in endothermic reaction heat is taken in from the surrounding and temperature of the mixture falls, and as heat is absorbed, so delta H is positive. Reaction is endothermic and delta H is positive. Option B is correct here. Question number 13. Magnesium powder reacts with an excess of dilute hydrochloric acid to produce hydrogen gas. Which statement about this reaction are correct? Look at statement 1. The smaller the particles of magnesium powder, the more slowly the hydrogen is produced. No. Smaller particle means more surface area, and when surface area is increased, the rate of reaction increases, not decreases. The higher the temperature, the faster the magnesium powder disappears. Yes, that statement is correct, because increase in temperature increases the rate of reaction. The lower the concentration of dilute hydrochloric acid, the faster the rate of reaction. No. If you decrease the concentration, the rate of reaction will decrease, not increase. Option 4. The faster the magnesium powder disappears, the faster the rate of reaction. Yes. How quickly magnesium powder is disappearing will tell us about the rate of reaction. So yes, this statement is also correct. Statement 2 and statement 4 are correct, while 1 and 3 are wrong. Question 14. The reaction between two aqueous compounds X and Y is slow and exothermic. The graph shows how the rate of this reaction changes with time. Here is the graph. The rate is decreasing with time. A student suggests that the rate of reaction decreases with time because number 1, the activation energy decreases. No, activation energy does not change with time. It neither increases nor decreases with time. Statement 2. Speed of the molecules of X and Y decreases. No, the speed is not influenced by time. Speed increases when temperature is increased. That is also incorrect. The concentration of both X and Y decreases with time. Yes, as the time progresses, X and Y reacts together, their concentration is decreased, and once the concentration is decreased, the rate of reaction also decreases. That statement is correct. So the right option is statement 3 only. Question 15. Hydrogen reacts with iodine to form hydrogen iodide. Which statement explains why the reaction is faster when pressure is increased at constant temperature? Look at statement 1. At higher pressure, the molecules are moving faster. No, the pressure does not increase the speed of particles or molecules. At higher pressure, more of the molecules have required activation energy. It is also wrong, because increasing pressure does not increase the energy of molecule. It is the temperature that increases the energy of particles. At higher pressure, the molecules are closer together. Yes, that is correct. At higher pressure, the molecules collide more frequently. Yes, that is result of above 1, and that is the reason why the rate of reaction is increased when the pressure increases. That is also correct. So D option, statement 3 and 4 are correct. Question number 16. Ammonium sulfate is used as a fertilizer. It is made from ammonia and sulfuric acid. The one is made by 2 in which 3 is used as a catalyst. Which words complete gaps 1, 2 and 3? Ammonia is made by Haber process, not contact process. So eliminate option A. Ammonia is made by Haber process, but the catalyst used is iron, not vanadium 5 oxide. Option C, sulfuric acid is made by contact process and catalyst used is vanadium 5 oxide. Yes, that is correct. Option D, sulfuric acid is made by Haber process. No, it is made by contact process and the catalyst used is vanadium 5 oxide. Option C is correct here. Question number 17. The reversible reaction shown takes place in a closed system at constant temperature. When the reaction has reached equilibrium, mole T is added. After the addition of substance T, which other substances increase in concentration? So at equilibrium, when you add a substance from outside, the reaction moves to opposite direction. So here we are adding this T. The extra T that is added here will react with S to produce more R, Q and P. So all these substances, their concentration gets increased. The right option here is C, P, Q and R only. On the other hand, the concentration of S will decrease because it will react with T. Question 18. In which equation is the underlined substance acting as a reducing agent? Start with option A. Here underlined substance is carbon monoxide and in this reaction it is gaining oxygen. So because it is gaining oxygen, it itself is oxidized and it is reducing Fe2O3 to iron. Yes, that is the correct option. If you look at B, the carbon dioxide is losing oxygen. So it is reduced and itself it is oxidizing agent. That is not correct. If you look at the reaction of copper oxide with hydrogen, so copper oxide is losing oxygen, it is reduced, so behaving as oxidizing agent. Remember, the substance that is oxidized is a reducing agent and the substance that is reduced is an oxidizing agent. Look at last option D. This is not a redox reaction because if you look at the oxidation state of calcium on left side and on right side, I hope you are able to calculate oxidation state at this stage. There is no change in oxidation state of any of the atoms involved. So there is no oxidation or reduction in this reaction. So this option will definitely be eliminated. Question 19. An aqueous solution reacts with a solid. The products are an alkaline gas, a salt and water. What are aqueous solution and the solid? If you think about your syllabus for chapter acids, bases and salts, you will come to know that only alkaline gas that is produced in any of the reactions of acids or bases is ammonia. And ammonia gas is produced when alkali reacts with ammonium salt. So you have to trace the option that has alkali on one side and solid salt like ammonium salt on other side. If you look at option A, aqueous solution is sodium hydroxide. Yes, this is an alkali. It is reacting with carbonate. So there is no nitrogen in any of the reacting species. So how can ammonia or any other alkaline gas be produced in this reaction? Eliminate this one. Look at option B. This is an acid. It is reacting with carbonate. In this reaction, carbon dioxide gas is produced. That is not alkaline, it is acidic. So also this is not the right option. Option C, hydrochloric acid reacting with ammonium chloride. No reaction will take place between these two as chloride ion is present in both of the reacting species. So also cross this one. Look at the last option. We have sodium hydroxide, that is alkali, and solid is ammonium chloride. We know when alkali reacts with ammonium salt, ammonia gas is produced, and ammonia gas is an alkaline gas. On the other hand, salt and water are also produced in this reaction. So that is the right option. Then comes question 20. Butanoic acid partially dissociates in aqueous solution. Which row about butanoic acid is correct? Partially dissociates means it is a weak acid. If you look at option C and D, the pH is 8 and 10 respectively, and that is the pH for alkali, while butanoic acid is an acid. So exclude these two options. Okay. Now as this is a weak acid, the pH 3 and pH 5 both can be applicable for weak acid. You can say that the 3 is like between weak and strong, and 5 is more weaker acid. But to decide this, you may look at the effect on thymolphthalene. Thymolphthalene is an indicator that is colorless in acidic media, and it turns blue in alkali. So if you look at option A, the pH is 3, solution is acidic, and the color they are saying turns blue. No, that is incorrect. Thymolphthalene shows blue color in alkali, not in acidic media. So the only option that is left here is option B. That is correct. The pH 5 is showing solution is acidic, that it is, and yes, it turns colorless. Question 21. Copper 2 sulfate is prepared by adding excess copper 2 carbonate to sulfuric acid. Why is an excess of copper 2 carbonate added? Excess copper 2 carbonate is added so that sulfuric acid is completely consumed and it will not contaminate the salt copper sulfate that is produced in this process. So right option here is B. Question 22. Part of periodic table is shown. Which element has 2 electrons in outer shell and 3 electron shells? The number of electrons in outer shell indicates group number of element in the periodic table. Now there are 2 electrons, it means this element is present in group 2. So it can either be B or C. And there are 3 electron shells. Number of electron shells indicates the period number. 3 electron shells means the element is period number 3. So this is period 1, period 2 and period 3. So here in period 3 and group number 2, this is C option. Question 23. Elements in group 1 and group 2 show the same trends in their reactions with water and in their density. Which row shows how the properties of barium compare with calcium? We have studied that both reactivity and density of group 1 and group 2 elements increases down the group. If you compare barium with calcium, barium lies below calcium in group 2 of the periodic table, so it will be having faster rate and higher density. Question 24. Which pair of compounds show a transition element in 2 different oxidation states? Look at option A. There are 3 oxygen atoms. Each oxygen atoms carry -2 charge, so total -6 charge. Chromium 2 should be having +6. You can say for one chromium atom the charge is +3 in Cr2O3. And Cr2SO43 sulfate has -2 charge like oxygen has, so there is total -6 charge. To balance this, there would be +6 charge, and again for one chromium atom the charge is +3. So in both of these compounds chromium has charge +3. Look at option B. The charge on oxygen is -2. So overall the charge on 2 copper atoms should be plus 2 because overall the compound is neutral, it is having no charge. One copper atom in this case has plus 1 charge. And on the other hand, in copper carbonate, CO3, carbonate has minus 2 charge, so copper will have plus 2 charge. So yes, this is the right option because Cu2O has copper with plus 1 charge while copper carbonate has copper with plus 2 charge. If you look at option C, sulfur is negative 2, it lies below oxygen. Zinc should be having plus 2 charge. Sulfate has minus 2. Same is for zinc, that is plus 2. So in both these compounds, zinc has positive 2 charge. And in option D, oxygen minus 2, nickel should be having plus 2. Nitrate has overall minus charge. There are 2 nitrate ions, so minus 2. And on nickel atom that will counter this negative charge will be having plus 2 charge. So among these 4 options, B is the right option where the transition element has 2 different oxidation states in these 2 compounds. Question 25. Which description of brass is correct? Brass is an alloy, and you know alloy is a mixture, not a compound, because the 2 metals that constitute an alloy are not reacted chemically. So first thing is that it is not a compound, it is a mixture, and it is mixture of copper and zinc metal. It is clearly mentioned in the syllabus. 26. What is the symbol of metal used in manufacture of aircraft because of its low density? So this is the use for aluminium, and aluminium has symbol Al. Question 27. Which substances react to form hydrogen gas? Option 1. Calcium and water. When group 1 and group 2 metals react with water, hydrogen gas is produced. This first statement is correct. Number 2. Silver and dilute hydrochloric acid. Silver is a metal that lies below hydrogen in reactivity series and it does not react with hydrochloric acid. Option 3. Magnesium and steam. Yes, magnesium reacts with steam to produce hydrogen gas. That is also correct. And in the end, zinc metal reacting with hydrochloric acid. Yes, in this reaction hydrogen gas is produced. So 1, 3 and 4. Option A is correct. Question 28. Coke and limestone are 2 raw materials used in extraction of iron from hematite. Which type of reaction occurs when each substance is heated during the process? When carbon is heated, it is oxidized to produce carbon dioxide. This reaction is exothermic and heat is produced in this reaction. But the point is that this is a redox reaction because oxidation and reduction is taking place here. So burning of coke is redox and not thermal decomposition. Now talk about limestone. Limestone is calcium carbonate and calcium carbonate is heated to produce calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. You see, this substance is breaking, so it means it is decomposition, and we are decomposing this by the use of heat, so it is thermal decomposition, not a redox reaction. Option B is correct. Question 29. Some combustion reactions produce pollutant gases. Which reactions produce a pollutant gas that is not present in clean air? Look at reaction 1. Methane is burning. It is producing carbon monoxide. Yes, this is a gas that is not present in clean air. So it is a pollutant gas. Look at reaction 2. Hydrogen reacting with oxygen and producing water. Water vapors are already in the clean air, so that is not the right statement. Number 3. Carbon reacting with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is already present in the clean air, so that is not the required option. Then nitrogen reacting with oxygen to produce nitric oxide. Again, this is a pollutant and it is not present in clean air. So reaction 1 and reaction 2 are producing the pollutant gases that are not present in clean air. Right option here is B. Question 30. 1 mole of alkane Y produces 72 decimeter cube of carbon dioxide when burned in excess oxygen measured at room temperature and pressure. First, convert this volume to moles by dividing this upon 24, as 1 mole of a gas at room temperature and pressure has volume equal to 24 decimeter cube. It equals 3. Now, as we have already talked that the moles of carbon dioxide produced in combustion reaction equals to number of carbon atoms present in the hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon here is alkane. As 3 moles of carbon dioxide gas are produced, alkane should be having 3 carbon atoms, and among these options propane has 3 carbon atoms. The structure of organic compound X is shown. What is X? The part of ester that is directly connected to oxygen is from alcohol and its name ends in "-ile". So here it has 1 carbon atom, so you can call it as methyl and not ethyl. The second part that has carbon double bond oxygen is from carboxylic acid and its name ends at O8. It has 2 carbon atoms, so you can say this is ethanoate and not methanoate. Option C is correct. What is the structural formula of compound formed in addition reaction of propene with bromine? So first you have to see what is the formula for propene. So it's CH3 CH double bond CH2. Remember, when any reagent is added to the double bond, one part of the reagent is added to 1 carbon atom and other part of reagent is added to the second carbon that is connected to a double bond. Here we are adding bromine and bromine has 2 bromine atoms. 1 bromine atom will be added to adjacent carbon atoms having double bond. If you look at the first option, these 2 adjacent carbon atoms are having bromine atoms. Yes, this is the correct option. What's wrong with option B? If you look at option B, one of the bromine atom is added to carbon number 1 while the other bromine atom is linked with carbon number 3. That is not possible because the double bond is between 2 adjacent atoms, not between carbon 1 and carbon 3. Then option C, both of the bromine atoms are connected with the same carbon atom. That is not possible in addition reaction of alkene. And what's wrong with option D? Again, both of the bromine atoms are linked with central same carbon atom. So only correct option here is A. Question number 33. Ethanol is produced industrially by fermentation and also by catalyzed addition reaction involving steam. Which row describes one advantage of each process? Fermentation. Option A, the reactant used is renewable. Yes, that is correct. The reactant that is used in fermentation is renewable. It is glucose. And catalyzed addition reaction is a continuous process. Yes, it is a continuous process and it is advantage of this process contrary to fermentation process that is a batch process. Option A is correct. What's wrong with option B? The reactant used is renewable. It is correct for fermentation. And catalytic addition requires little energy. No, it requires a large amount of energy to generate steam. Option C, fermentation is a rapid reaction. No, fermentation is a slow process. So both C and D are incorrect for fermentation. And if you talk about the catalyzed addition reaction, it is a continuous process. Yes, that is correct. It requires little energy. No. So both the things are correct for option A. Question 24. carboxylic acids react with alcohols when warmed with an acid catalyst. Which type of substance is formed in this reaction? That is ester. Carboxylic acid and alcohols are reacted together to produce an ester. Question 35. Nylon is formed by condensation polymerization. Which structure represents nylon? In structure of nylon, we have two monomers. One is dicarboxylic acid, means it has carboxylic group on both ends, and other is diamine, mean it has NH2 group on both sides. Now look at option A. The first monomer has C double bond O on one side and NH on other side. That is not correct. Look at the second option. The first monomer has C double bond O on one side and NH on other side. That is also incorrect. Look at option C. This monomer is having carbonyl group on both sides, yes, and the second group has NH on both sides and between them is amide linkage, yes, that is correct. Again, this has carbonyl on both sides and the second monomer has NH group on both sides, yes, option C is correct. And let's have a look on option D. What's wrong with it? The monomer is correct, but there is an oxygen atom between carbon and nitrogen that should not be there. Which structure represents the repeat unit of addition polymer formed from but1ene? When addition polymerization takes place, the part where double bond is present is added to the next monomer. So first draw the structure of but1ene. This is carbon number 1. It is having double bond with second carbon atom. So first carbon atom will have hydrogen atoms on both ends. The second carbon atom is connected to two more carbon atoms on one side, for which I can write C2H5, while hydrogen atom on other side. Why I have drawn the structure of but1ene like this? Because we have to keep on adding monomers where double bond is. So everything other than this double bond should go to the sides. So now this is the monomer. Now you can clearly identify which is the right option. Look at the first option. Carbon number 1 is having hydrogen atoms on both sides. Carbon number 2 is having C2H5 on one side and hydrogen atom on other side. That is correct. What's wrong with B? Both of the carbon atoms are having methyl and methyl. This would be correct for but2ene, because if you polymerize but2ene, means where there is double bond between carbon number 2 and carbon number 3, then this would be correct. Here it is not. And if you look at option C, the three carbon atoms are connected together. This is not possible. And if you look at option D, the four carbon atoms are together in a single repeat unit. No, that will not happen in case of addition polymerization for any of the alkenes. You have to consider just two carbon atoms in a repeat unit that will be having a double bond. Rest of the part of monomer should go to sides. So C and D are also incorrect. Question 37. 2 gram of powdered calcium carbonate is added to 50 cubic centimeter of hydrochloric acid. Which apparatus is used to measure these quantities of calcium carbonate and hydrochloric acid? 2 gram is mass, and to measure mass, balance is used, not pipette. Pipette is used to measure volume. And 50 cubic centimeter, this is volume, and it can be measured using burette. No other option to measure this volume. Thermometer is used to measure the temperature. So option A is correct in this case. Question number 38. The diagram shows a chromatogram obtained from colors of three different sweets X, Y and Z. So here is chromatogram. How many different red dyes are present in sweets? If you look at sweet X, there is a red dye. If you look at sweet Y, there is a different red dye. So 1 plus 1, 2. And if you look at sweet C, there is a red dye, but that is not different. That is present in X2. And another red dye, again it is not different. It is present in sweet Y. So actually there are two different red dyes in these sweets. Question 39. A mixture contains sand and aqueous solution of sodium chloride. Which processes are used to obtain a sample of solid sand first and a sample of sodium chloride from the mixture? Now this sand is solid while the other part is liquid. To separate solid from liquid, filtration is used. So first filtration should be performed, and then to separate sodium chloride from aqueous solution of sodium chloride, crystallization is done. In this way, we will get crystals of sodium chloride. So option C is correct here. Question number 40. A student tests an unknown compound M. The compound produces a lilac flame using a flame test. So the positive ion that produces the lilac flame is potassium. It means one part of the unknown compound is potassium. Second, it produces a gas which turns lime water cloudy when hydrochloric acid is added. So this is carbon dioxide gas, and carbon dioxide gas is evolved when acid reacts with carbonate. So this is the test for carbonate. Second part of compound is carbonate. So compound is potassium carbonate. That is option D here.